Hey there, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. It is Friday, October the 9th, 2009, and I wanted to follow up with the dollar action today. Some of you out there may say, "Hey, networking man, what's happening, man? You told us that the support's broken on the dollar and we should be heading down." And today I looked at the dollar and man, it's over 76 and rising, right? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. It's basically manipulation, essentially, but that's okay today. Manipulation doesn't. I mean, nobody bats an eye at it anymore. I got two articles I'll post here on the sidebar. Financial Times, I'm sure you guys have heard this already. Asian central banks intervened heavily in the currency markets on Thursday to stem depreciation. So this was basically southeastern states, southeastern Asian states. I think the yen, the Japanese were involved as well. Not China, because China is trying to exit the dollar, in my opinion, anyway. But they're concerned, of course, that the dollar is going to continue to weaken, and their exports to us would be more expensive for us, and demand would die, and blah blah blah, right? Of course, I think it's kind of funny because the U.S. consumer is essentially dead. I don't understand the logic because I mean, just making things cheaper and cheaper, it's not going to, people aren't going to just all of a sudden buy stuff out of nowhere, especially when they're losing their jobs or spouses are losing jobs or they're fear of losing their own jobs. So anyway, Jean-Claude Trichet, the European Central Bank president, issued a warning about the euro's strength on Thursday and said that authorities on both sides of the Atlantic would cooperate as appropriate. So in other words, as soon as the dollar continues to devalue, we're going to devalue the euro too, because euro is a fiat currency as well. Well, and just devalue everything. That's a great way to solve problems, isn't it? That's just kicking the can down the street. That's all it's doing. Later on in the article it said, however, and this is very important too, however, traders said that the central bank interventions appear to be aimed at controlling the pace at which the US dollar declines rather than solely to stop Asian currencies appreciating. Traders are saying that it appears to be a effort to control the pace at which the dollar declines. So that's important. Not that there's this move to make the dollar stronger and to keep it up, but there's a movement, if you will, to just to kind of stem the losses, if you will. The Obama administration has not altered its refrain that it believes in a strong dollar, but is seen as unlikely to intervene in currency markets, particularly as the U.S. Treasury recognizes the trade-weighted value is similar to where it was 2 years ago. Yeah, the Obama administration is not going to do anything in the currency markets, absolutely not. But Ben Bernanke, however, mentioned later on on Thursday, and I'm going to play both sides. They play both sides all the time, right? They're not part of the government, but they are part of the government. Hey, you know what? You slept your bed. You made your bed. You might as well sleep in it, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and say this. The Obama administration's Ben Bernanke basically said on Thursday that they wanted to tighten monetary policy as the recovery takes hold. This is in Reuters. Dollar rose from a 14-month low against a basket of currencies on Friday after Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke said the U.S. Central Bank will be ready to tighten monetary policy as the recovery takes hold. Well, I thought we were in a recovery, right? Now, green shoots are everywhere. The Fed must continue to prop up the economy for an extended period, but can't do so indefinitely for fear of an inflationary surge, Bernanke said on Thursday. Near zero U.S. rates and the Fed's decision to pump hundreds of billions of dollars into the economy to fight recession have pressured the dollar recently. Hundreds of billions. Did you know that they pumped in hundreds of billions of dollars into the economy? Did you get any of that money? I didn't see any of that money. That's really interesting, isn't it? They pumped hundreds of billions of dollars into the banks, right? And what have the banks done? They've been holding them. Why have they been holding them? Because they have reserve requirements. Why are they holding on to that? And why do you have to keep the reserve requirements? Because, of course, the assets that they hold, the worthless assets, are falling apart. So they can't loan money right now. So to make a statement like that is just completely ridiculous. They haven't been pumping money into the economy. They've been pumping money into the banks to keep the zombie banks held up. Because, God forbid, we actually let free market take over and just let them fail like they should. Anyway, the mere fact that Bernanke mentioned tightening in his speech, especially given the fact it's toward the end of the week, provides some excuses to take profits on short dollar positions. Listen to the language, guys. provided some excuses to take profits on short dollar positions. He did not say, this is Vasily Serebriakov, currency strategist at Wells Fargo in New York. He said, yeah, go ahead and take profits on your short positions. Why not take some money off the table? But he didn't say, yeah, go long on the dollar. He knows it's doomed to. Listen to the language, guys. And, I think this is all starting to come out because, and there's been some attention on this because it's starting to come out in mainstream media, right? The mainstream media is starting to focus in on attention to the dollar, saying, oh my gosh, it's 14-month low. We got to do something about that, getting concerned, and, getting the sheep concerned. Well, so we have to have the info babes on CNN and Fox, talk about the dollar a little bit. I mean, starting to come out in the mainstream press. It's starting to come from the internet, from YouTube and places like this, quite frankly. That's how it started. So the info babes had to come out and actually mention this, And so our government, which is the Federal Reserve, which is not really part of the government, but, they like to play both sides like I mentioned earlier, they had to do something. So basically they come up with this silly statement saying that they're going to tighten monetary policy as soon as the recovery comes. Or we're in one, or something like that. So that's basically what they said. It just amazes me, the reaction, the cause and effect and reaction that they have, And you can't tell me that the media is not controlled, or that the media is not involved somehow, because they had to quell this. There was this starting to spread with the Fisk article. Of course, everybody knew that the dollar was in trouble anyway. But with the Fisk article that came out and brought some attention to this, they had to come out and do damage control. And that's all this is. They got tighten monetary policy. How can they? I mean, they're going to start raising interest rates and things like that and cutting the money supply. Now, how are they going to pay for everything? No one's throwing up to the treasuries. My gosh, the treasuries yesterday, on Thursday, they're abysmal. They're horrible. No one showed up. You know who showed up? The Fed. Of course, they won't say that publicly, but the Federal Reserve showed up. The Federal Reserve showed up to prop up the U.S. treasuries because we're monetizing our debt. Everybody knows what's going on, but everybody's just kind of quiet. Again, like I mentioned yesterday, it's this 1,000-pound elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody knows it's there, but nobody wants to talk about it. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Another thing too, and I'll finish this up. The United States. This is the country. I'm in the United States. I'm a citizen of the United States. I love this country very much. But we've been a bully. We've been a bully for decades, and we've now come to the point now where we've expended ourselves. We're financially bankrupt. We're essentially bankrupt. We're not solvent any longer. We're just printing money to continue. And the rest of the world is recognizing this. Because you know what? We've always held a gun to everybody's head saying, hey, you will use the dollar as the reserve currency, right? You see what happened to Saddam Hussein? You sure you want that to happen to you? You will use our reserve currency? I mean, that's what we've been doing. But now the rest of the world is starting to see we're starting to kind of slowly fall apart. They know we're in trouble. So now they can kind of walk away. I mean, they don't even have to fire a missile. They don't have to get into any conflict. All they do is kind of turn their backs against us. And that's all they have to do. And then they're just going to let us fall into this black hole. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're decoupling, guys. Decoupling is happening. And that's all they have to do. All they have to do is just turn their backs, slowly, remove their positions, sell their positions in the United States, essentially, and just let her go. And that's what's going on. And yet the info babes and all that, girls with the low-cut dresses and the high skirts and all that, they're going to tell you that everything's just fine. Don't worry about it. Hey, the government's taking care of the dollar too. The Dow is up. Just look at me. Look at my shirt, and don't worry about anything. So, anyway, guys, it's Friday. Have a terrific weekend. Hopefully nothing will happen before now and then, but nothing does, I'll just leave it at that and just have a terrific weekend. Enjoy your families, and we'll probably talk to you next week, okay? Have a great one. Bye-bye now.